Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The story begins with a group of young men and women celebrating on the beach, singing, dancing, and thoroughly enjoying their time. One of the party rules was that no one was allowed to use their phones, so they collected everyone's phones in a white bag and kept them away to avoid distractions and ensure they fully enjoyed the party. Later, we are introduced to one of the group members named Kilbert, who brought along a very large and disgusting object. Kilbert didn't know exactly what it was, but wanted to show it to his friends to grab their attention and impress them. However, his attempt failed, and his friends looked at him indifferently and continued their celebration. The next morning, the group split into two. Some stayed in the car, while others stayed in a wooden house. Here, we meet a girl named Kayla, who wakes up and stands in the house, enjoying the atmosphere. She finds the egg they had seen the previous night, now split in half, with only its shell remaining. Suddenly, a bird lands on the ground but becomes stuck and unable to fly, as if something underneath is holding it. Kayla watches as the bird is pulled beneath the sand and disappears, as though the ground swallowed it. Kayla is shocked and frightened, realizing that something beneath the sand is dangerous. She understands that if anyone touches the sand, they will vanish completely or become trapped and unable to move, eventually dying. Kayla quickly warns her friends not to touch the sand because something strange is lurking there. However, her friends laugh at her and mock her, refusing to believe her. Suddenly, one of them, named Marcia, steps out of the car and places her foot on the sand. Her foot becomes stuck, and she can't move, as if something is gripping her leg. Marcia tries to pull her leg free but fails. Shockingly, she is forcefully dragged under while screaming for help. Her friend Fontes rushes out of the car, running toward her in fear, but with every step, the sand grips his legs and begins pulling him down. Unfortunately, he falls to the ground, unable to move, as the sand starts consuming his face. Fontes screams in pain, calling for help, but everyone is too scared to risk their lives. Eventually, the sand completely consumes him, leaving no trace. His friends are left in shock, unable to do anything. Their friend Joan explains that this is quicksand, which swallows people who step on it. However, their friend Ronnie disagrees, saying that quicksand only swallows people and does not eat them. This sand is different because it devours living creatures. They realize that the sand cannot consume the car, so they plan to escape using it. Joni tries to start the car, but its battery is dead. Meanwhile, Kayla steps a few feet away from the house, standing on the wooden steps, and notices thread-like structures emerging from the sand as she reaches out her hand. She discovers that these threads cannot leave the sand and are part of a creature living within it, which is why it devours anyone on the sand. At this moment, they hear their friend Kilbert shouting for help from inside a barrel. They warn him not to approach the sand, explaining that Fontes and Marcia died as soon as they touched it. Kilbert doesn't fully understand but trusts their words and stays inside the barrel, saying he won't try to leave until they find a solution. The group decides to stay put and figure out a way to escape while trying to understand what caused the sand to become so dangerous. They recall that the previous day, they had walked and moved around the area without any issues. They realize that all their friends who left the area have died in the same way, leaving only those who stayed in the car or the house alive because they were far from the sand. They notice the egg, now split in half, and realize it wasn't an ordinary egg, but the egg of a strange creature. This creature is now beneath the sand, moving through it and trying to devour anyone who comes near. They attempt to determine the creature's location in the sand by throwing food in different spots. Suddenly, they notice an area of the sand that doesn't react to the food, but it is far away and difficult to reach. At this moment, a crow lands near Kilbert, who is still trapped in the barrel. Kilbert watches as the bird is pulled into the sand and devoured before his eyes, finally understanding his friend's warnings. Meanwhile, Joni tries to move across the sand using wooden planks, heading toward a table. As he approaches, one of the planks slips, and he grabs onto the table. Threads from the sand reach his skin, stinging him like jellyfish tentacles. He quickly jumps onto the table, realizing that the threads are drawn to the fire they had lit during the party. Joni discovers that the creature's weakness is fire. He continues eating a banana, but the sting on his skin worsens. Kilbert reminds them that their phones are in Joni's car trunk. Ronnie and another friend, Jane, attempt to open the trunk without stepping on the sand, supporting each other to make it happen. During this process, Ronnie's leg is injured, and she has to lower herself slightly from the car to open the trunk. Unfortunately, she slips but manages to regain her balance without falling into the sand. She screams in pain as her hand gets caught in the trunk door. At this moment, a beach patrol car arrives, with a police officer inside. They started yelling at the policeman, telling him to help and warning him not to approach the sand because it could kill him, and he should stay in his car. But he didn't understand what they meant. Quickly, he called the police for backup. After they explained the problem, he didn't believe them, thinking they were drunk and making fun of him. He got out of the car casually without anything happening to him, thanks to the shoes he was wearing. The rest of the group, however, had their feet directly touching the sand, so the monstrous creature reached them faster. They realized the creature couldn't reach him because of the shoes acting as a barrier between skin and sand. The police went to Kilbert and found him trapped in a barrel. He wanted to help him but couldn't. Then he went to Ronnie and found her hands trapped by the car door. She begged him to stay away from the sand, but the policeman thought she was mocking him. When he pulled out his gun, he accidentally dropped his keys into the sand. As he bent down to retrieve them, his hand touched the ground. He began to be pulled in and couldn't free himself. He screamed in pain while Ronnie told him to use the pepper spray he had with him. He managed to use it and pull his hand out, but unfortunately, the creature had severed it. Suddenly, the policeman lost his balance and fell onto the sand, where the creature dragged him underground. Ronnie walked over to retrieve the pepper spray without helping him. Everyone lost hope because their only chance of escaping this place was gone. But Mitch, their friend, noticed something important. The shoes were immune to the creature's threads. He realized the creature couldn't touch anything worn as clothing. He asked Kendra to throw him any piece of clothing or fabric. She did, and he put them on, sprayed pepper spray on them, and managed to get off the beach. However, when he grabbed the fabric, the wooden fence leaning against the cabin fell, landing directly on the sand. The threads grabbed him, dragged him across the sand, and he died in front of his friends. Kylie thought of using the fence. She climbed up and jumped onto Kendra's car. She told them they needed to leave this place as quickly as possible. Kylie and Kendra helped Ronnie free her hands from the car door. Once they freed her, she screamed in pain. Meanwhile, they made a wooden bridge out of the fence to reach the table where the pepper spray was. Kylie carried the wood across the sand and reached the spray. As she walked back, Ronnie, whose hands were bleeding heavily, tried to walk toward them, but the pain distracted her, and she fell at the last moment. Kylie tried to save her using the policeman's pepper spray, but the sand overtook her, dragged her under, and killed her. Kylie then attempted Mitch's plan. She wrapped fabric around her legs and ran toward the police car, which was their only hope for escape. At the same time, Kilbert was trying to move inside the barrel. His movements caused him to get injured and bleed outside the barrel. The creature attempted to reach him by any means, causing the barrel to move due to its strength. Kilbert felt something inside the barrel moving. Suddenly, the creature's hand appeared, wrapped around him, and pulled him inside the barrel. Unfortunately, Kilbert died in front of them. Kendra succeeded in reaching the police car after Mitch's plan worked, but the creature's hand appeared inside the car, causing it to shake violently. Kendra fell onto the car, hitting her head and losing consciousness on top of it. When night came, she woke up from her fainting spell. She searched the car for anything that could help John and Kylie, who were sitting in their car. Suddenly, she found a life raft that opened automatically. She placed it on the sand so John and Kylie could get into the car. As Kylie approached the car, the creature's hand appeared, blocking her entry. Quickly, she climbed on top of the car, grabbed a gasoline can, and the creature's hand grabbed the gasoline, spilling it. She then took another can, opened it, and poured gasoline where the creature was. She lit a match and set the area on fire. The creature burned in front of them and died, but they weren't sure if the creature was truly dead or had simply disappeared. At least they managed to save themselves from death after terrifying moments and hours. Exhausted, they fell, asleep in the car. The next morning, someone approached them from the beach and knocked on the window. They realized the creature was dead because this person was walking normally on the sand. Nothing happened to him. After losing all their friends, they were the only survivors who managed to kill the monster. And that's the end of the movie. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video.